Mr. Speaker. And if you follow how I tend to operate in this building and the things that really kind of get me riled up, tends to be constitutional issues. I'll vote against my own party on occasion. I did the other day in committee when I believed the bill we had was violating the Constitution of the United States. And unfortunately, while that does happen occasionally where I have to disagree with my own party on a bill, unfortunately it seems that coming from one side of the aisle in particular, too many people, Mr. Speaker, from that side of the aisle seem to have no respect for the intelligence and the foresight of our founding fathers when they wrote the Constitution of the United States, where it said that there should be no law prohibiting the free exercise of religion. It's right in the First Amendment, the very First Amendment. Now, I realize that we think that there's extraordinary circumstances and somehow that takes away people's rights. But that's when our rights are the most important, is in extraordinary circumstances. A little history lesson for you for those who don't know. Do you realize that coming out of the Revolutionary War, when they were writing this Constitution, they were actually coming out of a pandemic? They were actually coming out of a smallpox pandemic, and they said the government has no basis to restrict religion and to prohibit the free exercise thereof. This is such common sense that it is mind-boggling that there's anybody in this chamber that believes the government has the right to shut down your places of worship indefinitely. Do you realize that while to an extent it has not happened everywhere in the state of Wisconsin, although there are still some that are more or less shut down, there are some states in our country where literally after months and months and months of the government prohibiting the religion to be practiced, finally there were pastors that started to stand up and say, it's wrong, and I'm going to open my doors. And what did the government do at times? They threatened to cut off their power and their water, threatened to take away the operation of their business, their place of worship to operate safely, because to be perfectly frank, the government in some of those states just didn't seem to care about the inherent right of people to worship God in the time and the place of their choosing. Nobody is taking any member here, any person across the state of Wisconsin, taking them and forcing them to go to a place that they feel is somehow unsafe. Tell them, oh, you have to go to this church now and worship. Is that anywhere in the bill? No, it's not in the bill, because we support the rights of people to make that choice and where and when and how they are going to worship. If you have any respect whatsoever for the Constitution of the United States, oh, and by the way, the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, you have no choice but to vote for this bill. If not, if you don't support that inherent right, then I say you are false to your oath to uphold that Constitution.
Gentleman from the 10th on passage.